Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to make one of the mini cakes in the book Love to Bake from the Great British Baking Show. It is a raspberry and white chocolate ombre cake. There's a lot of ingredients to this one, so it's probably going to be a longer video, but we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So I'm first going to heat my oven to 160 degrees Celsius, which is about 320 degrees Fahrenheit. So apparently we're going low and slow with this one today. So I need to make the sponge for the cake itself. So I'm going to beat my butter. There's a lot of butter in this recipe. There's 500 grams of unsalted butter. The amount of things in today's recipe is a lot. I'm hoping my mixer is big enough. And then sugar, 500 grams of caster sugar, also known as ultra fine sugar in the States. I don't know if I've said that in the past. I know you can make it from granulated sugar, but my grocery store does carry ultra fine sugar now, so I don't have to order it. So 500 grams of that ultra fine sugar. Vanilla, so we've got vanilla paste today. So I've got 2 teaspoons of vanilla paste. I like how you can see all the little vanilla bean seeds in the vanilla paste. I didn't know if that was right. Is that the seeds? For some reason I was doubting myself just then, but I'm pretty sure that's what that is. And then we are going to add, okay, the salt I had already put into the sugar there before I put it in. That was 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I need to beat this for 10 minutes until it is pale and fluffy. That definitely got noticeably paler for sure. So I'm hoping that you guys could see that with the way I clipped those together. And it's definitely lighter, like it's almost like an icing texture. So duly noted. I mean, it seemed like a really long time to mix that for 10 minutes, but it's very noticeably a different texture than when it was at even, 2 minutes in when I was like, oh, that's paler. But, okay. What I want to do now is I have to add the eggs one by one. There are 10 eggs in this cake. I'm glad the price of eggs are back down a little bit because, geez, 10 eggs is a lot. So I'm just going to do these one at a time and mix a little bit in between, and we'll see what it looks like at the end. It does say that if it starts to curdle, to add some of the flour, like a spoonful at a time. I'm assuming that'll be pretty obvious if it's curdling. So if you see some flour go in, that's what's happening. All right. So now, I don't know if I mentioned, but those were large eggs. This book usually calls for medium eggs, but those ones are large because it says so. Now, this does say to stir in the soured cream. So there's sour cream, soured cream. I'm assuming it's the same thing as what our sour cream is. I didn't actually look that up. So it says stir, so I'm going to get rid of the mixer because I think I fold in the next anyway. So yeah, get that out of my way. There's just a lot of things in this cake, and there's a bunch of different steps. Okay, stir in the sour cream. So I have 200 milliliters of the sour cream. Mix the remaining plain flour, which, like I said, I only added a couple spoonfuls during the eggs. So we've got 150 grams of sifted plain flour, all-purpose flour, and the self-rising flour. Okay, so we've got all-purpose, and we have 520 grams of self-rising flour, and I have to fold all this in. This is a lot of stuff for this bowl. Theoretically, I could move it to a different bowl since I'm not mixing it, but I don't like dishes. So if I can get away with this, I'm going to. So fold in. Okay, I think that's folded in pretty well. Because I still have to add milk and the white chocolate. I did say this was a raspberry white chocolate, so we've got 90 milliliters of whole milk and 200 grams of finely chopped white chocolate. And I guess I'm folding that in too. It doesn't say, it just says add. So, all right, it's all folded in there. And so I'm ready to put it into my lined cake tins. Today's cake is in 10-inch pans or 25 centimeters. Yeah, 25 centimeters. I only have 2 of these. You're supposed to have 3. So I'm going to measure this and like weigh it out as best I can because I'm going to have to like do this in 2 rounds. My biggest issue with this cookbook so far has been the assumption that I have at least 2 of 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10-inch round pans. And I think you need 4 of the 8-inch ones for one of the cakes. Anyway, that's a lot of pans that I just don't have. And can we not like make all of the 8-inch cakes, like, you know, all the 6 and 7-inch cakes, 8-inch cakes, and the 9 and 10, you know? Anyway, there's my soapbox. I'm going to get off it now. I'm just going to try to weigh out this as best I can. I guess I should probably weigh how much is in here just to have a base. Jeez. Okay, there's, you know, 3.4 kilograms of stuff in here. So if I get a little over a kilogram in each of these, we should be good because I did not weigh my bowl. But yeah, I'm going to try to get that measured out and so I can get them evenly as possible. I hope I have those measured out well. I just went for about a kilogram, assuming that my bowl is about the same weight as my pans, because I forgot to measure it. So we'll see. If I have one layer that's quite a bit different from the other 2, I guess that's just what it is. But the good news is that it will be in there at a different time, so I should be able to watch its baking a little bit easier. So these do bake, like I said, low and slow a little bit ago. So they're going to go in for 35 to 45 or 35 to 40 minutes. But we do need to add our raspberries. I forgot about the raspberries. So I've just got 200 grams of raspberries right now. It's 300 grams total. I just decided to leave the other 100 in the fridge until I'm ready for them. So it says scatter and then just kind of gently press them in. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so 35 to 40 minutes. While I've got the first set of cakes in the oven, I am going to go ahead and start my ganache. So I've got a pot of just barely simmering water, 200 grams of some more white chocolate, and I'm just going to put it over and make my double boiler system and add 200 milliliters of, it should be double cream. Again, we only have heavy whipping cream in the States. I said that in the Devonshire split episode. But if you have heavy cream, let me know where it's at because I want to find it. I know you can order some of this stuff, and I'm fully aware that Amazon will ship to my door. I just want to make it easy. You know, I was trying to figure out how to make this so like you could go to the grocery store and make these instead of I'm going to order everything on Amazon. So I just need to get this to melt. So I'm just going to keep stirring until it's smooth. And then I'm going to remove from the heat and let it cool. So it should set softly, but not firmly. So that's the hope. We'll see what happens. I think the cakes are done. It's been the better part of an hour, maybe if not an hour. Oh, but they look good. And yeah, they look really good. The skewer came out clean, so we're done there. Yeah, I just need to let it cool just a minute, get the other one going in the oven, and moving on to our raspberry compote. All right, so we're ready to do the raspberry compote part now. My ganache is cooling, so it's not setting up as much as I thought it would, but it's still got some time to cool. It's still a little warm, but we'll see. All right, so to make my raspberry compote, I have 1 tablespoon of water, and I'm going to put in, let's see, 150 grams of raspberries, along with 100 grams of that caster sugar, or the ultra-fine sugar. And I'm going to put it on my burner and bring it slowly to a boil. I'm going to start pretty low because I've actually not done anything with fresh fruit and jams or jellies like that. Not successfully. I tried to make some apple jelly one time. Didn't work so well. It turned into apple syrup, but whatever. So I'm going to bring that slowly to the boil and then stirring until the sugar dissolves. So I need to get me a spoon. And then reduce the heat and simmer for 10 minutes until the raspberries break down into a puree. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay, it's been on there for 10 minutes. It looks good. The raspberries broke down really well. It says to crush them with the back of a spoon. There's not really much to crush. They broke down into a puree, so I think we're good. If you want it to do seedless, it does say you could use a sieve and, get the seeds out. I'm not too worried about that. I don't know. My girls eat seeds in the raspberries all the time, so I'm not really all that concerned about the seeds in there. So what we're going to do is just let it cool. So I'm going to need this pot again. So my leaving it to cool is going to move it to another container so that it can cool. My little saucepan is getting its workout today. All right. If you're wondering what I do in between takes like that, it's dishes. That's what I'm doing. We're ready to do the simple syrup, or just syrup. I guess it looks like a simple syrup to me. But I'm going to take 100 milliliters of water and pour it into my small pan. And then I've got sugar. So I've got some more sugar. Let's see, 100 grams of caster sugar to pour into that. My cat is saying hello in a very loud way. And then 1 teaspoon of my vanilla paste. Lots of really good vanilla flavors in this as well, along with the raspberries and the chocolate. And now I just need to put this on a low heat. All right, so low heat. And then it says do not stir, but gently swirling the pan from time to time. So this is one of those where I guess it matters if you stir or not. So I'm just going to try to swirl it just to get the sugar all wet. And then it's just going to become syrupy. I need to dissolve the sugar in it, obviously. But yeah, it doesn't even say like how long. It just says low heat to dissolve the sugar, gently swirling the pan from time to time, but don't stir until syrupy. Remove from the heat and leave to cool. Not as direct as I would like. I'd like some sort of frame of reference as far as time, but it is what it is. I'm going to have a really hard time not swirling this pan a lot. The syrup has cooled down enough to where I can put it on the cakes. So we have all three of our 10-inch cakes. I had to put this one in my 12-inch pan just so I could, get the other pan out. And I'm going to poke some holes in this with my toothpick so that I can put the simple syrup or the syrup on there. Now, I don't necessarily know how many holes I should be putting on here. It just says poke some with the cocktail stick. So I'm just going to do that. This one, the third one is definitely a little smaller. I put probably too much into the first two cakes. Oh well, it is what it is. I'm just going to make sure to put that one on top so it doesn't have any extra weight on it because it is a little smaller. And it has a lot more air bubbles because of it, which is fine. But I'm just going to go to town here with my cocktail stick, my toothpick. You can't really see too much in there. Sorry. And just going to brush the syrup over top, I guess. That's what it says to do. All right, I am going to put these back to cool. I just want to make sure they're all the way cooled down before I worry about decorating them at all. But we do have some buttercream to make. So the buttercream, we need to start with 450 grams of unsalted butter. This is a 2-pager on this book, so it's basically a whole pound of butter. So I just cut off just a little tiny chunk of it to get to my 450 because I need to beat it anyways until for about 5 minutes until it's pale and fluffy. So I figured this would take care of it. It's at room temp. It'll be fine. Anybody else think that it's kind of funny to describe butter as fluffy? I don't know. I just feel like anything that's like liquid or wet isn't really fluffy. But anyway, we're there. Pale and fluffy. So what I've got to do now is add my 840 grams of icing sugar. It barely fit in my bowl, guys. Okay. Into the butter in 6 batches because I don't want my entire kitchen to look like it snowed in here, along with a tablespoon of milk, the whole milk at a time. So, tablespoon of milk, a sixth of this. There's 6 tablespoons of whole milk going in. So that's where I'm going now. Let's see if I can divide this somehow. Yeah, I don't know. We'll say that's a sixth. And then we'll say that's a tablespoon. I don't know. Seems like a weird way to divide it up. Okay, so the last thing we need to add to our buttercream is some vanilla paste again. So 2 teaspoons of our vanilla paste this time. Like I said, lots of vanilla flavor in this one, so should be good. I like vanilla. Vanilla is my favorite to chocolate. But there's chocolate in here, so it's everybody's win, right? Okay, so I just need to beat until it's a spreadable pale buttercream. It pretty much was already at the pale spreadable buttercream before I added the vanilla paste. So I just needed to make sure that that was all incorporated. Okay, so for those of you keeping track at home, we have buttercream. We have our raspberry compote. We have our white chocolate ganache, which really did not, thicker. It's not really set. I wouldn't call it set. We have our cakes. So let's assemble this, buddy. All right, so what I need to do is get a couple different colors of my buttercream because it is an ombre cake. So I just have, I guess I shouldn't put that on the cake plate. I just have 2 different bowls, and I'm just going to put some buttercream in each of those. So I can have, I'm going to have this, the color that it is, like the pale white yellow, and then like a pink, and then like a darker pink. I don't really know how different to describe them. But I need a lot more of the white color just for the top and everything. So I'm just going to do a little bit there. And it just says to use the raspberry compote that we made to color it, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to put a tablespoon in there and like a bigger heaping tablespoon in this one, and we'll just see how it colors it. It's neat to just use what you have on hand to color instead of, you know, using the dyes and stuff. Definitely not super dark, but I'm okay with that, honestly. I might put a little bit more in there, but I just want to see how dark this one's going to get first. I guess if you'd filtered out the seeds, it would have been a little bit more smooth than what this is going to be. Again, I'm not entering any contest for winning. The decoration is definitely where I'm going to fall short and fall flat on these cakes. So it's a little bit, I kind of wanted it a little bit more colored. It's not going to be super ombre. I'm just going to put a little bit more in that one, and therefore a little bit more in that one. I don't know. You know, it's not crazy noticeable, but I don't want to use too much of my compote because I want to actually put it on the cake. So I'm just going to put those to the side for a minute, and then we are going to spoon it into my piping bag. You guys don't need to watch me do that. So I'm just going to spoon that in there real quick. Okay, I did get my buttercream piped in, or in my piping bags, ready to go. I do need to, I'm using all the tools today because I need to whisk my white chocolate ganache with an electric hand whisk until fluffy, because this isn't set enough to where it's going to actually stay inside anything. So I'm hoping that this will fluff it up and make it more of a whipped cream. So let's do that. Let's see if we can get it to be fluffy. All right. We're going to call that good. Don't know for sure. Again, fluffy. Guys, my kitchen's a mess. Okay, white chocolate ganache in the fluffy form. So what I need to do is get my cake starting to be assembled. All right, so we've got that. I need to pipe dots of butter. I don't know what the piping dots of buttercream. Just get your cake board and put some buttercream on it so that the cake doesn't slide. Why do you have to pipe? Anyway, I'm trying to decide. This is the one I wanted on the bottom, just because it was the one left in the tin, and it's the big one. So I need to spread this out. Let's see. Okay, one sponge on the board. Now I never know which way goes up. I know which way I want to do up. I'm not sure if that's the correct way, but that's what I want to do. Now what I really need to do is figure out how to turn this out. Yeah, that is not going to be the side that's going to go up. Okay. That's not the way I wanted it to go, but that's how it's going to go. It's probably better that way, but that's not what I wanted. The raspberries are now on the bottom, which wasn't what I was hoping for. Anyway, okay, so we've got 2 pipe dots of buttercream. Okay, we did that. Place the sponge on the board. Spread a layer of plain buttercream over the top evenly to the edges, then pipe a ring around the edge. Okay. Forgot to grab this. All right. So if I just pipe it, well, I'm not gonna. Okay, so spread over the top evenly to the edges. Doesn't say go around the edges because that's where the ombre is, right? And again, this is where I don't know like how much to put on because, you know, we've got 3 layers and you want to make sure you save enough for the later ones. Okay, there we go. And then we want to pipe a ring around the edge, I guess, to hold in the ganache. Okay, so let me get this cut open. It said to fit these with large plain nozzles, but I don't have 3 large plain nozzles, so I'm just going to cut it and then call it good. So yeah. Okay, I hope that's enough to hold everything in place. Because now I want to spread half in the middle of the sponge. Okay, so I want to take half of my ganache. Man, I am running out of utensils and everything. All right, half of my ganache and just spread it in the middle. I'm kind of, you know, this has been a really intense cake to make, but I'm pretty excited. There's lots of cool flavors. I've learned a lot. I didn't know you could add white chocolate, or any chocolate, I guess, for that matter, to like a whipping cream. So that's kind of a fun little fact. Lots of fun things I did not know. And that's about half. Maybe we'll put a little bit more. I'll show you this half, and then when I do the second layer, I'll probably just, you know, go pretty fast. So just don't be surprised for that. All right, that is quite the layer. And then top with half of the raspberry. This can be a little bit easier to tell where the half is, just because there's not as much of it. This is going to be a little harder to spread, though. Okay. It's mixing in with the white chocolate, which I don't really see why that's a problem. It just won't be as pretty when you cut it in half and see the layers. But whatever. Okay. Place the second sponge and then repeat. So I'm just going to do this quickly. Okay, this is a really heavy cake, guys. Like, when I put that second layer on, it was like swoosh. So, I don't know. All right, now top with the third sponge. And I don't know if you saw how I put that one on, but oh yeah, that one's way thinner than the other 2. Whoops. Needless to say, if you have 3 tins, use them. Okay, pipe a generous layer of plain buttercream over the top layer and make a swirl pattern. Okay, well, I've got a lot of buttercream still in here, so I'm just going to put this on top before I attempt any swirl pattern. I feel like this is way too much stuff in this cake. It's just too wet. I'm sure it'll taste great. Okay. I'm never good at the swirl pattern. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Pipe fixed. So I'm just going to do the ombre part now. I'm going to start at the top with do the white and then work down. So. Okay. On to the light color. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, this is looking like a train wreck. Yeah, it really is. I don't know why. Everything is just kind of sliding. Everything's cool, so it's not like it's warm. I don't know. I might throw it in the fridge for a little bit. I'm just gonna run this and see if I can get some of it to, I don't know, stay in there. But like the piping layer did not really hold the white ganache and stuff in on the bottom, and because it's just so heavy, and I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in this cake that I'm not sure that I would repeat. It's gonna taste good. I'm sure it will. You're gonna be like, she's gonna say it tastes good no matter what. I don't care. All right. It's supposed to be kind of a semi-naked anyway. That's what it says anyways. So I was actually taking off a ton of the buttercream because there's so much on there. But it looks all right. I'm going to try to throw a couple things on top to make it look pretty. It says to decorate with fresh flowers. That is hilarious because it's the end of March and we still have almost 2 feet of snow on the ground. So we have no fresh flowers. But I'll throw some raspberries or something on top and make it look good before we take a picture and cut it. Okay, hey guys, we are going to taste our cake. I have cut a nice big chunk out of this very heavy cake. I know it's a big cake, but it's heavy. You can see that my top layer, was quite a bit shorter and smaller than my other two. I didn't have 3 pans, so what? But it looks good. You don't really see the white chocolate layer, but you see the raspberry in that layer there. And the ombre isn't as dark as the picture showed, but it is what it is. But let's take a bite. That is a very good sponge. I really like that sponge. It's sweet and light and just, good. I like the combination of white chocolate and raspberry. So when you get that white chocolate ganache layer in with the raspberry, I just think it's a good combination. The buttercream, we'll see. Yeah, it's a good cake. Very good cake. Tasty. I did not necessarily love how long it took. It took me the whole afternoon, basically, to make this cake. I don't know. It's nice. And it's a good special occasion kind of cake if you want to take the afternoon to make one. But it's a lot of cake, too. And I just, again, with those pan sizes, I don't have 3 10-inch, 3 9-inch, 3 8-inch, 3 7, and 6. So anyway, and it's an expensive cake with all the eggs and all the raspberries and everything. It's not cheap, but it's good. So that was the latest bake on my Great British Baking Show cookbook, Love to Bake. If you liked it, go ahead and check out some other videos, subscribe, like this video, and then, I will see you next bake.